Alexander Pichushkin, an avid chess player who terrorized the Russian people with his aim of murdering 64 victims, one for each square on a chessboard, earning him the name the Chessboard Killer. Born on April 9th, 1974, Pichushkin is believed to have grown up in a small two-bedroom apartment just northeast of Moscow with his sister, mother and stepfather. Pichushkin was initially regarded as a sociable student in his younger years. However, after suffering a serious head injury at a playground around the age of 4, he became more aggressive and impulsive, causing the other students in his class to begin bullying him, both verbally and physically. Experts now believe that this head injury caused damage to the frontal cortex of Pichushkin's brain, known for affecting impulse regulation and causing an increased tendency towards aggression and violence. Due to the frequent bullying, Pichushkin's mother decided to transfer him to a school specialising in the education of the disabled. However, upon reaching early adolescence, Pichushkin's grandfather recognised his grandson's remarkable intelligence and believed that the school was more focused on helping its students overcome their disabilities than promoting achievement and further education. As a result, Pichushkin was removed from the school and taken to live with his grandfather, who encouraged him to pursue more intellectual hobbies, with Pichushkin's favourite being chess. He was taught how to play by his grandfather, and after demonstrating a remarkable ability for the game, he was quickly introduced to exhibition matches which were played publicly in Bitsa Park, one of the largest forests in Moscow. Pichushkin was a natural and frequently visited the park, where he would play against much more experienced older men. For the first time in his life, Pichushkin had found a release for his anger, and dominated many games with his aggressive playing style. Unfortunately for Pichushkin, he continued to be bullied throughout his high school life, and suffered a huge emotional blow with the death of his grandfather in his later teenage years. Pichushkin was greatly affected by this, and was left with no option but to return to his mother's home. In an effort to cope with his grandfather's passing and calm his aggressive impulses, Pichushkin developed a dangerous vodka addiction, consuming large amounts every single day. Despite his loss, he continued to play chess, both at home and at Bitsa Park. However, around this time he also developed a more sadistic hobby, where he would record himself threatening children. He would then watch these videos on repeat to reassert his power. However, by the age of 18, this hobby was no longer enough to satisfy his murderous urges. Pichushkin's first murder came on July 27th, 1992, the victim being one of his classmates, Mikhail Odichuk. Pichushkin openly admitted to Odichuk that he wanted to kill someone, and invited his classmate to participate in the attack. Odichuk tagged along, unsure of what to expect. Once he realised Pichushkin was serious, Odichuk tried to escape. Pichushkin felt betrayed, and in his rage struck his friend with a hammer before pushing his body into a well. Pichushkin also claimed to have committed a second murder later in 1992, after his girlfriend Olga had broken up with him and began dating his friend Sergei. Pichushkin would dispose of his romantic rival by throwing him from a window. He was questioned by police at the time, but the death was ultimately declared as a suicide. When later asked about his first kill, he went on to say, "This first murder, it's like first love, it's unforgettable." Pichushkin's murderous urges would lay dormant until the early 2000s, where he began a 5-year-long murder spree in Moscow's Bitsa Park, often targeting the elderly and homeless. He would lure victims with the offer of free vodka and ask them to drink with him. Pichushkin would then wait until his victim was intoxicated before beating them with a blunt object, likely a hammer or a metal pipe. He often concealed the bodies in one of the park's many sewer pits, which resulted in a number of his victims drowning if they hadn't already been killed in the vicious attack. As his murder count increased, Pichushkin's attacks grew more violent. He began to leave broken vodka bottles sticking from his victims' skulls, and focused less on hiding their bodies, leaving them in the open to be discovered. Residents of the surrounding area began to suspect there was a serial killer on the loose. However, it wasn't until 2006, after Pichushkin had killed a female co-worker and numerous other innocent people, that he was arrested by the police. His final victim's body was found in Bitsa Park, inflicted with Pichushkin's gruesome trademark injuries. Police searched her body, finding a metro ticket in her possession. This led Moscow police to review surveillance footage of the Moscow metro system, where she was seen, hours before her death, accompanied by none other than Alexander Pichushkin. After his arrest, police raided his home, where they found a chessboard of Pichushkin's with dates on 62 of its 64 squares, each one referencing one of his gruesome murders. Despite the evidence, police were only able to charge Pichushkin for 48 counts of murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. During his trial, he was placed in a glass cage for his own protection, following outrage from the Russian people. While inside his protective chamber, he requested that the Russian court add 11 additional counts of murder, commenting, "I thought it would be unfair to forget the other 11 people." He was convicted on October 24, 2007, and was sentenced to life imprisonment with the first 15 years to be spent in solitary confinement, where he remains to this day. Pichushkin has never shown any remorse for his crimes, claiming that while killing people, he felt like a god, deciding whether his victims should live or die a horrible death. For me, life without murder is like life without food for you. I felt like the father of all these people, since it was me who opened the door for them to another world.